Amigos y amigas, another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. About to start. Get your snacks ready. Get your friends ready. Get your family. Is this a family affair? You all just kind of gather around the TV since now everything is watchable. On the big screen, amigos, I'm Wiso for Food Mex Nation. Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show, an hour-long podcast dedicated to all the things that are happening around Mexican football. If this is your first time watching us or listening to us, welcome to the program. We're going to go ahead and jump right in, not waste any more of your time with our question of the day. Lots of things that happened today. Big question. On a day full of Mexican soccer headlines, which was today's stories are the biggest? And we'll go straight into Mr. Cesar Hernandez, who is, I'm sure, extremely happy there in San Diego, Tijuana. And we'll be talking a little bit about that. But lots of headlines. We're waking up to a very uneventful Monday, and then all these things are kind of popping into. Cesar, ¿cómo estamos?
Oh, doing well, man. Doing well. Obviously a lot of good news for Xolos fans around the San Diego Tijuana area who are going to get to see some semi-final playoff games this upcoming week. But for me, the big news, it's got to be Pizarro, right? Just because there's so much to unpack there. There's so much to unpack with that Pizarro situation. There's so much what it means for Chivas. Just the rumors. Obviously it's rumors that potentially, he signed before the last game of the regular season. There's just so much going on there with Pizarro potentially going to Monterrey. Obviously, it's not officially official yet, but a lot of signs are pointing to that. So I guess it's got to be that, right?
All right. Pizarro Monterrey. Jason, back. Has been gone a little while, and now is back with Mexican Soccer Share, our producer of the show.
Hello there. It's hard not to pick that Pizarro story. It's such a huge thing that came out today. But, I'd also give a kind of a shout out to the Antonio Mohamed leaving Rayados. After the exit from the Liga and being in Mexico, it's not totally surprising to see the manager walk away, to step aside. But just that team, so strong and what they were building. And it wasn't always great this season, but you just kind of expected to turn up in Liga, and the way it fell apart, and for him now to be gone is kind of surprising to me. Even despite what we expect to see in Liga Mx with the manager, so that's kind of a big one for me. That's one that sticks out.
Mohamed Rayados, who would have thought we will be talking about this exit? Mr. Tom Marshall in Guadalajara.
No, yeah, I'll go with Mohamed as well. I think that basically with him leaving, it's like one of the biggest clubs the best jobs in Mexico is up for grabs now. And I think Monterrey have a real chance now as well to bring in a big name, because the money's obviously there. The sporting director Davino was saying the other day that there's money there to spend. So Monterrey just looks like it's going to go on strength to strength. Ricardo Peláez moving to Cruz Azul from ESPN. Yeah. I think that's, given what he did at Club America and given Cruz Azul's situation, I think they've got the right manager in Caixinha, and now they've got Peláez there as well. And, you never want to say something too positive about Cruz Azul, but, the two good people there.
Tom Jason's right there, man. Come on, man.
I'm not sure how well they'll get on those two. But yeah, Osvaldo Alanis as well confirmed to Getafe. That's a massive deal. Nico Castillo confirming as well to Chilean media that he's leaving Pumas, that he wants to play in the Champions League. So yeah, lots of stuff going on today. Tenor out at Querétaro as well. Rafa Puente coming in. So but I'd say the Mohamed, because I think that I think the Pizarro deal isn't confirmed yet. So let's see how it goes. Whereas the Mohamed one is 100%, and it leaves a massive opening for a big job in Liga Mx.
Interesting how it all kind of everything just unfolded after a massive weekend with all the upsets, and obviously we'll be talking a little about the Nuevo León teams. Jason, we asked obviously our viewers there in the Mexican Soccer Show account. If you're not following us on Twitter, definitely do so. What are the biggest stories and what they have to say?
A couple interesting responses. We had Francisco Centeno on Twitter reply that all the young Mexican players potentially moving to other Liga Mx teams instead of European clubs, referring back to that Pizarro situation. Obviously, is this good? Gallardo also moving to Rayados.
And Eric Gutierrez possibly to Chivas as well.
Yeah.
Another one too there, yeah.
And also Cesar Montes, because if Pizarro goes to Monterrey, the rumor is that Cesar Montes will come the other way to Chivas.
Oh my. Okay, that's an interesting one. Kevin Chavez also kind of following up on that it's always hard for young Mexican prospects to go to Europe. Not necessarily a new story, but certainly one that's sticking out today. Melissa HR, kind of following up on the feeling of many Chivas fans, I think, at the moment that Vergara's divorce will destroy Chivas. Not a lot of happy Chivas fans right now. I don't know if that's necessarily the cause, but not a lot of happy Chivas fans at the moment, I would say. And we have Juanito Tigrillo saying that Jurgen Damm still has a job. Not really happy Tigres fans either. Jurgen Damm, he often bears the brunt of that. Maybe justifiably so.
I just feel like America fans right now are just kind of like, nothing's happening to us. We're still going through. There is no drama with us right now. And normally,
quiet. Yeah.
Normally this is where like America fans would just be like, laughing at everybody. I just don't see it. I don't see like that America fan, that usual
Playoffs
fan laughing at everybody.
Playoffs aren't over yet. Yeah.
It's kind of funny though, because I'm thinking about that. All right. Big news, right, of what happened. I mean, let's go ahead and talk about Rodolfo Pizarro, which everybody's already linking. The rumors could be rumors. Mohamed leaving, him saying that it could have been, the last game before that. Anyone a little disappointed if this kind of goes through?
Yeah,
I'd be absolutely pretty very much disappointed.
And I think this is where we're all going to that. It's it's our best young player. We're saying he should be on the national team, taking national team spots from people, and what he's been doing. And then now if it's the money, Tom, tell us. Find some reasoning for us.
Yeah, of course it's the money, but I mean, okay, so Nico Castillo, he played obviously for Pumas over the weekend, arrives in Chile, does an interview at the airport. This is what he said: "A cycle is over. I was at Pumas for 1.5 years. But I need other things. I want to be in Europe. I want to fight for big things like the Champions League. Playing in the Champions League is a dream." Last week, Rodolfo Pizarro was interviewed about his future, and he's like, I've got some offers from Europe that I'm going to weigh up. And obviously, we've had this Monterrey rumor today, and he's like, I need to find where I'm going to be happiest. And nobody's saying you shouldn't be happy, but the mentality of an elite athlete is to absolutely want to test yourself at the highest level. And it's slightly worrying that quite a few of the younger Mexican players don't appear to have that ambition. I mean, let's see what happens. But, I mean, this is the big concern about the Mexico national team right now for me.
I mean, on the flip side, you could also say, I mean, he'll be getting good money and he's going to possibly get a second league title. But at the same time, after that,
Nico Castillo could go to America and get paid a lot of money. Nico Castillo's 25, Pizarro's 24. For me, they're both very, very good players. Nico Castillo could stay in Mexico, go to Monterrey, get paid a lot of money. I honestly think it's a matter of ambition. I don't think he'll get paid as much possibly in Europe as he would in Mexico, Nico Castillo.
Do the clubs have anything to do with it, Tom?
I mean,
as far as money offers from, if it's Chivas, or money offer from a middle table Spanish team that isn't going to offer as much.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, Chivas are obviously seem like absolutely desperate for money. But, I mean, it depends on the contractual situation and if there's a buyout clause and stuff like that. So, I'm not sure on that side. But the rumor with Pizarro is that actually Monterrey are offering way more than the European teams, which is what happened with Damm, which is what has happened with a lot of Mexican players over the last few years.
Or Pizarro even the last time he moved, probably. I think there's a chance that he could have moved then. And I think that comparison is tough between Nico Castillo and Pizarro because Pizarro's home, right? This is Nico Castillo's home in Mexico. Yeah. But it makes sense because these are two players that you think Castillo clearly can play up a level than what he is at right now. He can clearly move to a better team, play in a better league. He has that talent. Pizarro, we want to see, right? We want him to be pushed because he has, as you guys have mentioned on the show the last couple of weeks, Pizarro has kind of maxed out what he can do in Liga Mx. He can. We don't really know that he can go up a level and perform. There's some questions there, but we sure like to see him try and be pushed because there's a strong possibility if he is pushed that he can raise a level and become a greater player than he is right now. And it's really worrisome that if he isn't pushed at this point, then maybe this is his peak, what he's at right now.
Yeah, I guess my worry too. I mean, I know I said he'll be making good money. He'll probably get league title. That was just me kind of being like, I know, devil's advocate there. But my big worry is that you think about the next generation of national team players. You think about the fact that Jonah, Gio, Vela are all in Major League Soccer. That I mean, would it be surprising if Chicharito and Ochoa, were to come back either to Liga Mx or if they go to Major League Soccer? So you feel like it's a necessity for more young players to really take a step up and to go to Europe. And I think that we all kind of assume that Pizarro would be one of those players. We all kind of assume that he is a player that's for the future of the national team. And for him to continue to stay in Mexico, I mean, it really halts the growth of the national team. I'm not gonna say like the entire national, but that's just that is an aspect of it, and others could be following suit as well. And it's just not a good sign for El3.
Yeah, just quickly on, I mean, yeah, I agree. But for what it means for Chivas as well. I mean, Chivas had just won the CONCACAF Champions League, but they finished without making the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs last season. They've got a Club World Cup coming up in December. Pizarro's arguably been the best player in those championship wins. You know, I'm not saying consistently, but, you know, he's been a massive part of that title a year ago and a massive part of the CONCACAF Champions League. And for Chivas to not just let a player like that go, because if he goes to Europe, you know, that's happened before and you kind of accept it and it's part of the deal in terms of producing a player and letting them leave. But to go to another Mexican club, I mean, a club the size of Chivas with you know, boasts 40 million fans, to let one of arguably your best player then go to one of your rivals is, unless they've got something up the sleeve, then, you know, it doesn't look at all good for Chivas. You know,
What has looked good for Chivas lately, though?
Alanis has left. You know, Rodolfo Cota, it looks like he's not going to be there. I mean, how do you replace when you're a team playing with only Mexicans? How do you replace Pizarro?
Yeah.
You'd have to get Vela, and Vela's not going to come. You'd have to get Chicharito, and Chicharito's not going to come. You'd have, you know, that kind of elite market. There are very, very few players. So, and then Alanis, how do you replace him? Cota, arguably one of the best goalkeepers in the league. I mean, this is looking a bit bleak right now for Chivas.
Well, isn't it the best? I mean, I'll argue with the fact and the interest of the club. Isn't it the best to get the most money? He's going to leave anyways. So if he's going to go to Europe and he's going to get less money, why not get more money for him when he's going to go to Monterrey? I think if Chivas has an option, he's going to leave regardless. And I think that's where Chivas takes it at their own interest and going, okay, we're going to give it to the highest bidder, and it's going to be Monterrey. Monterrey, if it's not Pizarro, they're going to get great players. So
yeah, but you're weakening yourself.
But you're going to weaken yourself anyway. You're going to weaken yourself anyway because Pizarro's going to leave.
But then you're also, at the same time, directly helping a rival. You know,
but Monterrey is going to get. They got the money to get big names, or they got the money to get good people, better than Pizarro maybe. And I think that's where I could only. That's why I see Chivas not. This isn't hurting Chivas at all. Pizarro's going to leave if he's going to go somewhere. He's going to go to Europe. I think they're trying to get the most money out of him, and you know, make him go to Monterrey is for that interest of the club is just another player that they're going to get money. I'm still hoping it's not true. I'm still hoping this is all rumors. Right,
Pizarro, but there are a lot of rumors. I do really worry because it's just
Mohamed leaving, also shaking all that up. Maybe Almeida goes to Monterrey and brings Pizarro. Yeah. So I it's interesting because I think everybody is almost in the same page that they'd be upset because this guy is not jumping in. And Cesar, I concur with what your statement. Who's moving out there? It's kind of like when we saw the Alanis deal. We're like, well, we saw that kind of coming today. The president, right, saying in an interview that is pretty much all set to go with Alanis going out there. But we were kind of going, okay, we really want these players to go first. Yeah, excited the fact that we got another player there.
Would that be if that was a big transfer from Liga Mx to Europe for the Mexican players and it's Alanis? That's how disappointing would that be?
Usually it's the year before the World Cup you start getting these clubs trying to get these players for a cheaper amount, right? This is where the European clubs are lowballing players to trying to come, and then after the World Cup, they're the price goes up on the players. So you should see some signings.
You know the difference this time though with that is that this is going to be the first time in history that this Mexico team, it could be 10 Europe-based players starting games. There's very few, Mexico-based players that are going to be getting real time in the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whereas before, I think you had that kind of, you had four or five in the team
yeah.
that were going to be starters, and naturally, you're in the eyes of the whole world and people are looking. But honestly, this time I think the Mexican national team nearest to Europe is going to be Araujo, 26 years old. And I think he's going to be the only Mexican starter at the World Cup. But I think we've got to look to a couple of the youngsters as well. Roberto Alvarado over there at Necaxa, I think he's had a really, really good season. And that kid's played, I think, over 50, 60 games in the first division or the second division at first team level. So, I mean, there are a few players there, but, it's worrying when you get even Eric Gutierrez also linked with Chivas. You know what I mean? That's when it becomes a bit kind of like, what's going on here?
So you're saying Roberto Alvarado, he's going to Monterrey, is what you're saying, Tom?
Monterrey or Tigres? Tigres is the rumor there. It actually is as well.
Again, it's kind of like we don't want it to be true, and we're just gonna have to wait for it. Continuing with the news, obviously we talked a little bit about that. Mohamed leaving. You said it, Tom. Another coaching position, probably one of the best coaching positions in Mexico, now opening up. Staring the shuffles. I'll take Mohamed de Leon. Sign it. Let's do it. I think somebody said it on the chat. But the coaching changes. Ambriz, Rafa Puente, especially after what happened in the weekend, and we'll dive into the Nuevo León teams. But surprised that Mohamed. Could we, after America, Mohamed going obviously to Rayados, it was a team, get that championship. We're going to see a great team. We've been talking about this great Monterrey team. Him leaving, is it considered a one? Again, Mohamed has the potential to do great things, and it just doesn't come.
Well, I think with Mohamed, I think it was fair for Monterrey fans to expect more from him. I think he suited the way that they played. I think he got a lot of good results from them. But I think in the end, when it just came to titles, I guess recently got the Copa Mx title, but I mean that doesn't really say much.
That's it, right? Sorry, it's kind of going through my head. Is what did Mohamed really do in Monterrey?
He's been there since 2015. It's just the Copa Mx title. So, cool. And especially with that roster that they have, I think it's fair for fans and for ownership to really want much more from their side. So once again, I think that his playing style suited Rayados. I think they had some good games, some good runs of form, but I think that it's fair to really want more title wise. And I think he's been there for a little over 2 years. So I think that's enough time, and I don't really blame them, and I'm not really that surprised that he was dropped.
Tom, it was also sorry, Jason. Is this more of a decision in coming from Mexico of Mohamed also agreeing with this? Is this him also, because he's known for that? If he's not 100%, if he finds that he doesn't get the backing from the club, he's out too.
Yeah, I think it was the right time. I think for the manager and the club. But let's not forget, if you go back over the last 3 seasons, Monterrey have got 8 more points than any other team in the league. I mean, this has been, in terms of the regular seasons as well, Monterrey has been extremely consistent under Mohamed. And also, if they score that penalty in the final in the Apertura, things could look very, very different right now. Yeah. Obviously, they lost that game against Tigres, and then they lost against Tijuana on Saturday, and you can paint the picture more negatively. And obviously, the goal was to win the title. I mean, Mohamed had won the title with America, he'd won the title with Xolos, and obviously they brought in a manager with that experience and know-how of how to win a title. I don't 100% agree with Cesar though about the style of play. I think Monterrey with that kind of stadium, I think Monterrey will bring in a manager who's a slightly more possession based, kind of getting the team forward more, less counter attacking. And I think that's more to what Monterrey as a club will be looking to do now. And Mohamed's obviously just very, very organized, good on the transitions, and obviously with players like Avilés Hurtado and Pavón, you can play that way. But I think they might shift now. And you look at a player like Pizarro, someone who's obviously supremely technical, very, very good on the ball. And I think that might feed into a slightly different Monterrey team, moving forward. But yeah, I'm honestly absolutely fascinated to see who they bring in. I mean, I just think there's huge potential. Nice training ground, an unbelievable stadium, a great city.
You're setting yourself up for disappointment, man.
No, I honestly can see if they won it, they could go for a really big name. I think people would be really, really attracted to Monterrey as a job.
It's great timing, I think. The amount of money they're pouring into this team, the motivation after that Liga loss. I knew as soon as it came, the Tigres and Rayados both go out in that final. There was going to be an arms race of money spent. So much money spent from those two clubs already. The money's going to be pouring. They have just a wealth of resources, and yeah, I expect it to fall on the manager too. So it would be surprising to see someone from the carousel wind up in Monterrey at this point. That being said, it's possible, but I agree with Tom. I think there's going to be an outside hire. I think there's going to be a big name-ish, more or less, brought into this Monterrey club because they could afford it. And I think they're going to look for a big move. I think around a World Cup, it's a good time to be doing that. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they wait a while and a little later after the World Cup bring in a big name.
Ruben Omar Romano.
I mean, I'll say if Ambris went to America,
Enrique Mesa. I don't know, guys. I think you're setting us up for a big failure. I think Monterrey is going to keep regurgitating managers. I'm just going to throw it out there. I hate to be negative.
Triumphant return of Vucetic, huh? Maybe? No?
Vucetic comes back. El Rey Midas to Monterrey. Perfect. Rafa Puente, now Querétaro.
I think we all kind of expected it as soon as he got.
I think we all feel good about that.
Yeah, when he got dropped,
good story.
When he got dropped from Lobos Plot, we all knew it was only a matter of time before a bigger club picked him up. I mean, I think what he did Lobos Plot. I know they got relegated, but I think that he had an attractive style of play, and I think that he proved that he is worthy of at least getting a chance with another first division team. So I think it was only a matter of time, and I'm interested to see how well he does with Querétaro. I'm looking forward to that.
It's like the Rudy of Liga Mx. We all feel good for that guy. I hope everything does well. We feel bad of what would happen. So I think everybody was happy about that, which is good. All right, what other big news? Alanis, we just touched a little bit upon it. Right, for all the things that was kind of happening now, like we said, the president in an interview said that everything's pretty much all ready to go. A little bit of a shock, the fact that it just kind of came out, but I mean, it's a good move. It's not like Alanis was shaking heads and everyone was looking at this guy as another one, but you get these surprises, especially to a Spanish. I'm happy to see another Mexican in La Liga. So, your thoughts on it?
No, it's great. I mean, don't want to be negative, but the only slight negative that it didn't happen in January, because obviously it looked like Alanis was really, really trying to force the issue in January. It didn't happen, and it would have been. I think it would have been massive for him to have that experience before the World Cup. I think he's probably going to be in the squad. I think he's not a definite, but I think he's probably going to be in the squad. But it would have been massive for him to go in January. But yeah, I mean, Alanis, I think I was saying on the Countdown to Russia, even when he was here in Tecos, I remember people talking about him and they were saying this is a kid who really, really wants to go to Europe. And the way he's forced his way out of Chivas, I mean, let's not forget what he did with Chivas. He really forced the hand. He got all the players behind him. And then he got Vergara basically to come in. Basically, when Almeida had kicked him out of the squad, Vergara came in because of the pressure from players and said, okay, what's going on here? And then obviously they came to a deal that he would play for another few months and then they'd let him go. So it's a massive, more than anything, it's a massive signing in what it could mean for Mexican players moving forward when the contract runs out. But I'll tell you what, if Pizarro and we'll see with Pizarro, Eric Gutierrez, those kind of players, if they had the same mentality as Alanis, so desperate, even at 29 years old, to try a different league out, then I think their decisions would be a lot easier right now.
But I think maybe because the Alanises are not as attractive as the Pizarros from other clubs. They're just dying to snag, a talent like that. I feel that's how you start seeing these clubs. We'll start seeing how much Alanis is really going to get. taken for, but I don't think it's going to be that much. And I think no one was kind of looking around Liga MX looking to get Alanis in that sense of how much he's worth. So it kind of hurts you that you are the best because we're in a league where there's a lot of money being thrown at you. And we've seen that time over time, these youngsters not getting it. And then you see, a random player kind of go to Europe, not random, but, someone that we weren't expecting or at the top of our list of all the fans and everybody. So interesting to see the moves. One thing I kind of, you have players, more players playing in La Liga, which is great to see. If it's Alanis, if it's Guardado, Layun, so I think it suits the league well to Mexico well to have players playing, but the key term is playing. All right, more crazy headlines. Anything else that we should be mentioning on the show for you guys?
I'm sure something literally just happened like 10 minutes ago that we like completely missed or something. It was just that was the kind of day that it was. Just like every 30 minutes or so, just like something new was happening. So let's see what happens during the next several weeks. So obviously there could be more transfers, there could be more rumors, and of course you have to wait. I mean, because I feel like with a lot of these transfers, especially if they are going to be going to Europe, you're going to see a lot before the World Cup and right after the World Cup too. So I mean, let's see what this summer holds for us. It's going to be really fascinating to follow.
Good. All right. Well, let's talk about what we thought we were going to be talking about. It's almost 30 minutes into the show and we haven't even mentioned it. This is our big story. Nuevo León, the Monterrey teams, not in the Liguilla. The teams that spent so much money, the teams that we've been saying that they are great, that they have great football, great managers, great players, great everything, are not in the Liguilla. A shock. And let's just kind of jump in to I saw a little. This was more of for me, a shock with, Xolos knocking out Rayados than in the other way. I've seen that Tigres side get a little too cocky and not playing games during the season, not ready, and we'll talk about the players and the coaching and everything. But Xolos beating Rayados was a huge shock for me. Maybe I'm not following as much as Xolos, but let's talk about it. Cesar, obviously a team that you cover, that you're there, and in what happened in this series.
I honestly didn't think Xolos were going to go through either. I thought that they were going to make things more difficult than people thought it would be, but I didn't anticipate me talking about the fact that I'd be checking out semifinal match this weekend over here. I think that, in that first leg, which is a 1-1, I think that they did a good job of pressuring Rayados. Mohamed, after the match, in the press conference, he said that, that Xolos fueron mejores, that Xolos were better, and I thought that was interesting to note that his side not only looked bad in the first leg, but even worse in the second leg. I think Tijuana.
This is first road win?
It's their second road win of the of course, it's the first road win of 2018. I was about to say that game, that recent win, that was just the second time that they've scored an away goal. Well, they ended up getting 2 goals there, but those second, third goals were the second and third away goals of the entire year. Like their first away goal of the year was against León during week 16. So it's just, Tijuana has really struggled in away matches, but they were just brilliant with their counters. They played the way that I thought Monterrey was going to play, and Monterrey just really, really struggled against Tijuana's countering. I think you got to give credit to a guy like Gustavo Bo, who I feel like he's had to, kind of compensate for lost time. He had some injury problems earlier in the season. He hasn't really been finding the back of that as often as fans have wanted him to, but he was just brilliant for Tijuana. He provided the assist for both goals and the second leg, and I think he's one of the key reasons why. But yeah, just Monterrey over the 2 legs, they just, it's one thing to say Xolos got lucky, but I don't think that's the case. I think they were clearly the better side here, and especially in the second leg, like I said, their countering was just efficient.
Well, I think that's where that luck comes in. The first goal, coming in, and it's like when you already do things well on the first leg, lucky goals like that where you can't do anything. And even almost a second, that defensive mistake, it looked like they're both going to collide, and all of a sudden he comes off with the ball and scores. So, and good to see. I think Xolos definitely deserves it. Not that Rayados doesn't, but I'm excited to see that fan base get that. And we're able to see that. One thing that you mentioned, especially for our viewers, the Xolos, the English language account, and also the Santos too. So kind of excited in that, pulling for them. Not that I don't have any Rayados ties, but Tom, Xolos, Rayados, we talked already about Mohamed, but specifically, futbolistically, like Mr. Naim Moran used to say, how did this Rayados with the talent, kind of get outmanned by estos Xolos Winkles?
I mean, Monterrey, to be fair, haven't got it right all season. I mean, he's messed around with a back three, a back five, and then with a back four. And last season it was very much a back four. He switched it up this time around, and it just hasn't felt right this season with Monterrey. I mean, Jonathan Gonzalez last season was a really key piece, and he's not performed as well this year. And yeah, it just didn't click for Monterrey. I thought the first leg as well, I thought they didn't show up. And I think Cholo should have been really disappointed to come away with that with a draw, because they were the better team and they had the chances, they were dominating the game at times. And Monterrey just didn't show up. They were lucky to get that goal. But, when you got a player like Dolan Pavon, he can get you out of those situations. So in the second leg, just what Cesar said, I mean, it was just a very, very balanced performance from Xolos. It was very good defensively, but, obviously the key if you're going to sit back like that is that you do threaten on the counter. And the return of Gustavo Bo has been massive for that. Quick Mendoza as well is finding some form as well. So, yeah, Xolos just got it right. And, they did something that we don't see too often in Liga Mx, and that is sit back and kind of play a more counter-attacking style, and it was too much for Monterrey. I mean,
just really one more quick thing about Tijuana is that all season we've seen them do very, very well defensively. I think that's one thing you can kind of count on with Tijuana. But I think if the attack really starts to step up, I'm not going to say that they're going to push for the title, but I'm going to say that they might be more. I think that they might be more at least just in the near future, they might be a little bit more difficult than Toluca fans expect. If that attack can keep up, and if Pablo Aguilar can continue doing well defensively, it's definitely a team to keep an eye on.
Yeah, for me, I think it's all matchups, right? I mean, because you look at, this is the same team that got away from home, run off the field when they played New York Red Bulls. Right, so they're going to Monterrey there's no expectation, but it's all that matchup, and they're playing that counterattack. Monterrey is obviously pushing forward, and they played that counterattack perfectly. I don't expect that to work out necessarily moving forward in the semifinals, because I don't think the matchup suits them just as well as it did against Monterrey. I think they're going to run into a little bit of trouble going forward against Toluca, but I think that Toluca defense is just a little bit more secure and a little more worked out than what Monterrey was going through at the moment. But all credit to Xolos. This is why this was the most shocking result to me, because they haven't done it away from home, and they really did it. But for me, it's matchup and game plan that just was executed perfectly. Yeah,
Lahoud as well in goal. For me, he just keeps growing into that position. He's looking like a real, Liga Mx goalkeeper, and the way he kind of asserts his authority among the defense, and he's a big guy as well. He's it's pretty exciting. I think 24 years old, Mexican goalkeeper. I mean, starting to get a little bit excited about him.
Yeah, I think there's a reason why he was called into that national team camp in January, and I think he's worthy of the recognition he's getting now. I think he's still. I think he's improved on his confidence and his consistency a lot, and I think those are the two things that he really needed to work on, and we're seeing that confidence consistency.
Yeah, and then it only comes by playing games. And I think, to be fair, we've got to give credit to Miguel Herrera, because Herrera often is accused at America and at other clubs of not playing Mexican players. But with Lahoud, he's put him in goal and said, right, you're my number one. And it's these goalkeepers, I mean, we complain about Mexican players not getting the opportunities, but this is how the improvement in Lahoud is a perfect example of what many other Mexican goalkeepers and strikers, for example, that's what they need. They need a run of games in the first division so that they get used to it and grow in confidence and improve as a player.
Yeah.
As you said, for me, it was definitely the shock. Let's jump over to Jason. We got any comments on the chat?
Just following up on some of the Monterrey talk, Jose Villanueva says that Jonathan Gonzalez might be missing off the World Cup 2018 flight, and that seems pretty likely at this point. I'd say just the lack of playing time in Monterrey. I think it's pretty clear that this is a player that needed a big season to make that push, because I think he was still pretty far away, and he certainly didn't have that. So I think looking bright for the future, but not 2018, not so much.
There's a comment as well from Gary Torres, who's saying Diego Alonso Diego Alonso to Monterrey, and that's a rumor I've seen as well. And that's a rumor for me that makes absolute perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, attacking manager works well with youngsters. Apparently, Monterrey, the ambition is to produce a team that's mainly Mexican, which explains the kind of bringing in Pizarro and possibly Jesus Gallardo as well. And so, yeah, bringing in someone like Diego Alonso, who's done, I think, overall a very good job with Pachuca and with Gutierrez and Lozano. I think that would be a really, really good fit for Monterrey.
How bad is that for Chivas if Monterrey are really like determined to focus on Mexican players and the money they have? Like, oh man,
pretty bad.
That's problematic.
That's pretty bad.
Almeida.
I mean, it's one thing Atlas trying to do that, and like it's kind of throwing another thing. Monterrey going, right, who's your best player, Chivas? Pizarro. Okay, how much do you want for him? Okay, we'll give you that. See you later.
And where does Chivas go from there? All right. Tigres. And I'll be honest, looking at that result, after what I saw at the CONCACAF, after what I saw on some of the finals from Tuca, I just feel sometimes that I wasn't that surprised, especially for this season, in seeing that. But let's jump right in.
I think that's fair to say. But after that first leg, I mean, I was immensely surprised. I mean, yeah, kind of heading into series, I was like, you know what, Santos, they could do it. They could do something here. But after that first leg, I thought, no, that Tigres have this in the bag. That Tigres have this secured.
But what happened in CONCACAF, champion? Tigres has it. Everyone confident, the fans, the players, and looking at that game, that team, it kind of makes me wonder. I'm like, this is why you're not the biggest. You're not going to be in one of the biggest teams of the four teams. I feel like it's that constant disappointment when you're supposed to do it. And I think big teams did it in the history of the Cruz Azules and the Chivas and America and Pumas. Maybe not in the last 10 years that we've seen it, but when they were big, they won big. When they had the best players and they were the best in Mexico, those, they won a lot of games and they won championships and they won them well. And I think this is what's missing.
Tigres have won 3 of the last 5 titles. I mean, you're going to have hiccups, and they have won. They've won 3 out of the last 5. It's like, and they've reached and the final as well in the Clausura.
But
they've reached 4 of the last 5 finals. I mean, and won 3 of them. I mean, I don't know.
I'll give you that. Tom, that they won those, but you still need that CONCACAF champions. They've lost things that they should have won because they were that good, like the Libertadores final. And when the America teams of the Cruz Azul, the Chivas teams were at their best in the history of Liga Mx, they won those titles.
They never won the Libertadores.
No, I'll give you the Libertadores. I mean, I'm not saying that would have been the key if and that's why I feel that those teams are not big. They won't be mentioned in the top 4 because historically, whenever you have such a big team, they're winning everything. That team, the Cruz Azul, that won in the 80s.
If this continues at Tigres the next 5 years, and they continue winning at the same rate, which everything is in place to do. I mean, let's not forget. This is still a very, very good team, and I don't think in the off season they're going to kind of dismantle it. I think the opposite is going to happen. I think they're going to keep investing. But yeah, no, I do agree that in certain big moments in big games they haven't done it. But I don't think that stops them. I don't know the debate about being a big team. It don't really bother me. I mean, I don't care. Right now, Tigres is a really important team for this league, and they're dominating the league, and that's what makes this result so shocking. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because and watch how Santos Laguna celebrated that victory. I mean, they knew that they'd knocked out the favorite for the title, and yeah, it was very disappointing. I mean, they never showed up, and Tuca Ferretti at the end of the game saying that we lost to some Warriors and we were like a bourgeoisie kind of middle class, kind of like a bit aloof. We didn't put the work in, and that was the worrying thing for Tigres. It's not that they didn't have the quality; it's just they didn't. Santos Laguna were winning every second ball. They were first to it all the time. And that was really, really disappointing from Tigres. But let's not forget, Nahuel Guzman made a massive mistake. And let's not forget and that's been the main talk after Guzman. But let's not forget Gignac in the second half, he had an
Absolutely,
pretty much an open
Wow.
net with a header. And I mean, you would absolutely back Gignac. I mean, 99 times out of 100 to put that in, and then the game's over. So yeah, it was
10
very
men.
disappointing against 10 men. It was extremely disappointing from Tigres, but they're going to be back. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
This was a really bad one. I think, I mean, and big for Santos, not just because Tigres are Tigres and the team they have, but the circumstances are crazy. I mean, down 2 goals, the Tigres have those 2 away goals, and then for Santos to be down a man for the majority of the match, it really did look like Tigres were kind of just going through the motions. They had it in the bag. They didn't have anything to worry about, and they didn't really turn it on until those final minutes pushing for that goal. So, I mean, it just wasn't good enough for Tigres. Santos were unbelievable, but Tigres it was like they were sleepwalking. Like they never really brought the intensity that they showed up until it was just absolute desperation at the end. And I mean, that desperation needed to kick in a lot sooner because, I mean, you have all the advantages. You're up a man, but you still need to score because that fluke play, that Noel, like not quite getting to that ball. I mean, it could always happen that you can always give up a goal, even down a man in that situation. They needed to find that just one goal would have made it impossible for Santos to come back. I mean, just so all they needed was one goal that entire match, and they just couldn't get it. I mean, it's embarrassing for Tigres. That was bad.
Well, Tigres played like a side that never expected Santos to get that second goal. I think, in short, that's what they anticipated, and I think that when Santos went down to 10 men, I think once again they just assumed that if a side were to get the second goal, if a side were to get the first goal, it would be them more than likely than Santos. So I think that's just kind of in short what happened there. And then once Giannini got that goal, I mean, it was just too little, too late from Tigres afterwards.
I feel like, and I know this is gonna be bad comparisons, but I remember kind of like the U.S. and Trinidad and Tobago were like, oh, they'll get it. Oh, don't worry. Oh, they're down 10 men. Now they're definitely gonna get it. They'll go ahead and score. And I think everybody's kind of like, it'll be all right.
It's a good comparison.
It is, because I was going, the U.S. they're not gonna score. Bam, Trinidad scores out of a random goal. And I'm like, oh, well, U.S. will come back like normal. I just felt like watching that, right? Looking at that, it was kind of like, okay. And then, 90th minute, and you're like, what? That's exactly, you couldn't do that. And it just makes you mad because I'm not a Tigres fan, but I want that team to succeed too. I want Mr. Liga. I think it's good for the teams to have those. But in the way that it all unfolds, Liga MX will come back and smack you a couple of times when you think you know the scores and you know what's going to happen. So we've seen the time.
More like Mr. Ligina. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, man.
How about that shot for Giannini? I mean, we talked about Guzman and him not getting to that ball, but Giannini, like, having, like, the shoulder sprain. He was just off the field. He comes back on, gets off that crazy shot where he injures himself. Like, it's just the season this guy's had, and to have this moment in Liga, like, it's pretty incredible.
If he was Mexican, we'd all be going crazy right now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
People are going crazy.
It reminded me, Santos' performances reminded me of Diego Simeone team.
Yeah,
just absolutely non-stop.
Yeah.
Just didn't, not for a split second. I mean, Brian Lozano, he was just absolutely everywhere. And like that Giannini moment, Jason, like you said, that summed it up. He goes back on the pitch when he clearly needs to come off.
Yes,
he clearly needs to be subbed out. He gets the ball, takes a couple of touches, and just whacks it towards goal. I mean, it wasn't a soft shot either. It wasn't a terrible shot. I mean, obviously, Guzman should have done better, but I mean, that just completely summed it up.
Yeah, in a series where Gignac and a series where Edu Vargas should have really stepped up. Instead, you had guys who aren't nearly as noteworthy as them, like a Brian Lozano, like the youngster, like Angulo as well for Santos. Those are the guys who really stepped up and really stood out. And I think that, especially Edu Vargas, I think was really, really disappointing for me.
Even in the Valencia and Gignac, and I think it's something we talked about even at the start of the season, and the start of even last season. But getting all these players into the team is proving a bit difficult, I think. And at times it just looks a bit messy. The roles of each of those players aren't defined, or they're playing slightly out of position. Because if you're playing Gignac, Valencia, and Vargas in a kind of 1-2, if you know what I mean, then I don't know. I don't think you're getting the best out of those players.
Tom, we haven't talked a lot about Tuca, but you see there's a lot of changes, in the squad, as you're saying on that. How responsible was Tuca into not, getting at least to the final in this season, and especially with the.
I'm not sure. I think the players have to take, I think, most of the blame. And I think the big thing that happened in that game was Tigres, and I'm not sure why, and I don't think it has anything to do with Tuca, to be honest. I think it was the players. Tigres didn't have the ball, and playing against 10 men for over an hour to only have 53% of possession like Tigres did was quite frankly abysmal. I mean, basically what should have happened in that game was that obviously Santos get the goal, and okay, happens at home, they get the goal, but Tigres, with all the experience they've got, especially when they went Santos down to 10 men, you just keep the ball, and we see it week in, week out with Tigres. They just wear you down by just passing, and they don't give you a chance, and then you wear the other team out, especially with 10 men, and it's just so to find holes in the defense. Just give fair play to Santos, they stopped them doing that, and Tigres really just forgot their own DNA for me. I mean, it was really, really abysmal performance from Tigres, and you could tell Tuca Ferretti after
How was that press conference?
Oh dear. I mean, he was clearly not happy. I mean, he called out his players, and you don't see that a lot from Tuca Ferretti. Yeah. He basically said Santos wanted it more than Tigres, and that was the reason. And I agree with him. Yeah. The question is, why weren't those players fired up? Because at the end of the day, maybe it has to come down to the coach at some point. But yeah, I think there'll be a massive inquiry. And the characters of people like Vargas, perhaps Enner Valencia, how much do they want it? Obviously, these guys are on big money. I don't think anybody would question Gignac, but those guys, like, how much do they actually really want it? I don't know. I mean, I thought the Santos players clearly wanted it a lot more.
Yeah, I think if this were any other manager, they would be skewered at this point. Yeah. I mean, it's Tuca. He gets a lot of the benefit of the doubt here. But, I mean, for the players to be so unmotivated, to be so lethargic out there, where they really just needed to score a goal. And they just didn't seem, and as you said, like, just that lack of possession, just like that lack of drive, not getting to any of those balls. Santos were incredible. But, I mean, any other manager, I think a lot of that falls on him. And I think as much as, like, some of these players, and I absolutely agree that some of these players just didn't perform up to their standards in this match. Some of it has to also fall on Tuca because the manager he has to prepare them better. They didn't seem to be ready for what Santos brought to the table.
Yeah, I think just overconfidence, going up 2-0, coming back home, down 10 men. We got this psychologically. Yeah. I think honestly, I think that's the only explanation. The only thing I can think of also is Rob Schneider wasn't tweeting at all. He was at a Luis Miguel game. A concert. He was all about Luis Miguel that day, and
the players were demotivated.
The players did. I mean, Rob, you have to watch the game. You can't just come out when they win the championships. You got to be there.
I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. That's like our big Liga Mx celebrity. It's like, oh, come on,
we need to do better. We really need to do better.
We got to do better than even if it was like 2003. We could do
don't knock Mr. Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo, Rob Schneider.
That makes me dislike him even more.
This guy.
Can't we have some bigger celebrity? Oh my god.
His wife is Mexican. She's an actress also.
I don't know. We deserve better, is what I'm saying.
I think it's
no, we don't. Rob Schneider.
So if you could pick one celebrity to be like the
whatever, we have Chad Ochocinco.
Who would it be?
Who would it be? Oh, no, that's a really good question.
Who would you pick?
We have Chad Ochocinco. I think
we need like a Chrissy Teigen or something, something like that.
No, we need like Donald. Let's get Donald Glover.
I thought you were going to say a different Donald then.
Donald Glover.
Just because he's over the weekend.
It's a different Donald. I was like, what?
Tom, you got to start listening to Childish Gambino, man.
John Legend. Cesar is just because he said we need somebody better than Rob Schneider, man. Jeez.
Anyway, have a thing for next week, show Cesar.
Cesar, please give us your top 3 celebrities that should be linked.
I'll create a list.
Liga MX is linked.
I'll create a list. I'll tag him on Twitter too, man.
You should be there. All right. Let's talk about. I'm sure the Americanistas are like, all right, enough talking. 45 minutes of with us not being mentioned. Yes, America, you did it. You're doing things well. Everyone coming back, beating a Pumas team that people were saying this is, this is the real deal. But now coming back, I really thought, at least in the second game, Pumas was going to bring a little bit more. But as we're seeing, good things from El Nido, good things for Americanistas, and seeing in that, Tom, surprised that it was this easy for America.
To a certain degree, because they've been pretty inconsistent in the regular season. But then again, I mean, I know it's easy to say after you've just won 6-2 on aggregate, but you look back over America's team and you're like, this is a really, really good Liga Mx team. I mean, you've got Marchesín in goal, one of the best goalkeepers in the league. Paul Aguilar, who has been consistently over the last 5, maybe 10 years, one of the best right backs. Valdez and Uribe. I mean, Guido Rodriguez and Uribe, Menez, Peralta, Ibarra. I mean, I don't know. This is just a really, really good Liga Mx team, and
they have depth too, man. They have depth when you look at that bench as well.
Yeah, William De Silva coming off the bench, Cecilio Dominguez as well on the bench the other day. But I think the key for me has been Mateus Uribe and Menez, because Menez has obviously just come back from this injury. I just feel like the return of Menez has kind of lifted a bit of the weight off the shoulders of Uribe in terms of being the creator of this team. Because I think, Menez is so good at working between the lines and kind of linking the play between the midfield and Peralta. And Uribe's, I think, just blossomed because of that, because of his return. Uribe right now is just absolutely on fire. I mean, I think he's getting closer and closer to a starting spot with Colombia at the World Cup. I mean, I'm sure underneath the obvious fact he'll win the title with America, that'll be on his mind. But I mean, this America team right now, he just looks up for it. He just looks really, really confident, and really now with Tigres out, they'll think they've got a massive chance to make a final, and not just reach a final, but win the title now. I mean, I think the favourite's America Toluca final, but I don't think there's much difference, to be honest. I mean, Toluca finished top, America second. I'd say America's a better team on paper as well. See, I think Americanistas will be pretty happy right now with the last few days, the last week, basically.
Yeah, like Tom said, I agree 100%. I think that, I mean, just America squad, America's roster right now. I mean, I'm definitely the president and CEO of the Guido Rodriguez fan club, but I got to give credit to Vinay. You got to give credit to Uribe. I think those two guys are the standout players for America. Just what they did in the attack was just it was fantastic for them. And I think that, as I mentioned, they have some depth too. They have some depth, and Bielko can change that system. And I think that, especially when you have someone like Marchesín in net, who I think deserves some credit too. I know his positioning wasn't exactly the best for one of those goals, but I think he's someone who, I mean, is just clearly a key player for America. So I would say that America, I think they're the title favorites right now, especially now that Monterrey and Tigres are no longer involved in the conversation. And I expect, as much as we're praising Santos, I think America shouldn't have too many problems finding a way to the final.
I think there's just too great of a disparity between these two teams. I mean, Puma's just not quite up to the level of America at this point, and you need to make a big comeback away from home. It's a tough ask. And Puma's clearly, obviously, getting a lot worse going forward with losing Gallardo. Apparently losing Nico Castillo, who seems like he's on his way out, so it's not a bright future at this point. Although it would look bleak at the beginning of the season, and they had a pretty decent season. But
it's interesting because, I mean, you got Pumas on one hand, who they finished dead last in the regular season last time, so it's actually been a really good season. But I'll tell you what, if Castillo's gone, he said he's leaving. If then Gallardo goes as well, and then you're thinking, you just lost arguably your best two players of the team, and you're one of the big four teams. I mean, what's going on? You've got a manager, Patino, who, I don't know, I'm not sure he's 100% convinced people either. And I think there's just massive question marks about Pumas right now. I mean, just about what the team really wants to be. We've not really talked about it, but I'm sure we will in a minute. But, it's like Morelia against Toluca. Morelia right now, they've constructed quite a nice team. Roberto Hernandez has been given a bit of time. There's not been too many movements in terms of transfers. And they've got Diego Valdez and Rui Diaz. and you think two absolutely superb Liga MX players, and then can you build a team there? Are they going to be given chance to build a team? And you think with Morelia, one of the lesser teams, one of the smaller teams in the league, you assume those players are going to be sold. You know what I mean? But now are we talking about Pumas in that same bracket? You know, are they at that level now where a player has a couple of good seasons and you sell him to a rival? I mean, I don't know. I just think it's I don't know. I think it's an interesting conversation.
Complete tangent, but when I was watching when I was looking at the bench for Pumas, I completely forgot. I know how I forgot that.
Oh,
Torres
go on, you're
with
good
Pumas.
there.
I had no. I was like, what's he do? Oh, that's right. He's playing for Pumas. I can't believe I don't know how. Yeah. I don't know how I completely forgot about that, but I was just like a little.
That's Nico Castillo's replacement right there.
It is. Yeah. The return.
Oh, is that cool?
So they'll be fine.
Torres.
What's he doing there?
All right, really quick. We are running a little bit on late here on time. Morelia, Toluca. I'm gonna say this right now. I'm gonna have Toluca winning the whole thing, just because if I pick America like I think it's gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. And so Toluca wins the championship, and I think it's one away, right, from the from championships with Chivas and America. I think it's up there on how many championships, or maybe I'm reading that wrong. All right, really quick, did Morelia almost pulling off a great feat, but wasn't able to do so, and Toluca deservedly so, I think, are in the semifinals. No surprise there. Morelia.
Morelia almost had it. It was close. It was very close there at the last second, but once it was too little too late. There were 2 goals in injury time. It was pretty incredible, and they almost had the third. But I think despite, it was a short little hiccup there, and I do think that Toluca, thanks to the likes of someone like Sambuesa, I think he just continues to do very well for Toluca. So I think they're worthy of making it into the semifinal round. But yeah, no. Let's see what happens against Xolos. I still think they're the favorites against Xolos, but I think that Xolos will make it more difficult than expected, especially as I think Xolos are gonna have a lot of momentum as well.
Well, yeah, definitely. And well, let's talk about semifinal people. Not a lot of time left, but to look at Xolos, America, Santos, everyone's looking at that America Santos to see what Santos can do again. Can they play with that much heart? I think it's going to be an amazing game, amazing series between these two guys. And then also, it feels like those 2 underdogs that took the Nuevo León teams, that took those teams are going to come with the fire. And I feel like the Toluca and America are not going to be the Monterrey teams and taking for granted these teams finally. These guys defeated 2 great teams, and I think we're going to get to see some real good football coming up. But it isn't a Mexican soccer show unless I get you guys' predictions.
But the only other thing to point out quickly is that really, honestly, I think with Santos and Tijuana, there's absolutely no pressure. There's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
There's no real expectation. If either one of these 2 teams goes out, then I don't think anybody's to even get this far.
Yeah.
And whereas I think with America, obviously, they're always under pressure. They're always 1 red card away from things going wrong. So I don't know. We'll see. But I think they're going to be tight. I think they're going to both be tight, and I'm going to go for Toluca and America to go through.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be very tight as well. I think America. I think that. I wouldn't be surprised if America got a few goals there against Santos and maybe go through with like a 4-2. But I do think that the Xolos Toluca one is going to be very close. So I would be surprised if Toluca goes by just with like the higher seeding tiebreaker. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in that series.
I think the thing that I look at with Xolos and Santos, you look at it either way. They have no pressure going into these matchups because little is expected of them, but they also just kind of won their Super Bowl, right? You saw the way they celebrated after they took off Tigres and Monterrey. Will there be a bit of a letdown going into this next round where they aren't as up for it? They aren't as keyed in as Santos was in that second leg. I don't know. It's another way of looking at it. For me, I don't think Toluca Xolos is going to be necessarily all that close. I think Toluca can really stifle Xolos and shut them down. I think Toluca's defense is going to win out. So I expect Toluca to go through, maybe not necessarily by a wide margin, but I think somewhat comfortably Toluca moves on. Santos America, I think, is going to be pretty tight. And I'm actually going to take Santos. I think they're going to get past America here. I think there's a bit of fool's gold with the way America looked against Pumas, because I think Pumas was kind of a mess, and I think the red cards really helped. So I'm thinking Santos, if they could bring some of that same momentum, that same fight that they brought to that as Tom said, that Simeone-like play that they had in Torreon, I think it could be enough to see past America. So I'm going to Lucas Santos in the final.
Oh,
Lucas Santos is what
Lucas
I'm going with. I'm going to go with Jason in the same way. I think everyone's expecting America. Everyone's expecting these great teams to knock off from the very beginning. We've said it, and it'd be great to see. I kind of would be great to see Xolos Toluca, just to spoil everybody. But I mean Xolos Santos. I think it'd be great. But I'll go with Toluca Santos also there with Jason.
Yeah, the TV companies wouldn't be happy.
Nope. Not at all. Not at all. They're all done, but that's what happens. All right. It is a little bit past 8 o'clock. Really quick, just some stuff to mention. Big week for El Tri. So if you are don't care about Liga Mx and you've waited this long for us to talk about El Tri, sorry, we're not going to talk a lot about it. But Sorry, but big news that are going to come out.
Deal with it.
Really quick on our Patreon podcast. As you see, you get these cool shirts. Jason and I have them on. Sometimes we get to talk about things that are normally not out there. Maybe we have some information out there that we can't release yet for whatever reason. So just, I think if you are if you're going to be listening to the podcast, Cesar and Tom are really going to go into, especially what it has to do with the list that's coming out. So I'm giving you a little bit of hint. You want to listen to this. You'll be first to get some news on the list. It could be players. It could be just a lot of things. So definitely listen to a podcast. It's gonna be a good one. But Cesar, what is important about El Tri this week?
I guess we saw that music video from Molotov. That was pretty. That was
we're gonna break
They
it down
really
bar by bar.
I mean,
lyric for lyric.
Are they doing the official like they did 4 years ago? Is Molotov again the
No, I
official
think it's
song?
just the TV Azteca. I think it's just TV Azteca kind of. But I mean, it's not great. I mean,
what's more embarrassing, having Rob Schneider as a Liga Mx fan or that music video? I don't know. We'll put it up to a vote.
oh.
Can you imagine like going in and like you're a player, you're filming that, and then you see the final product that comes out? Like, how bummed are you? Like, you're like such an idiot. Like,
At least put some special effects on me, or I'm just like.
I gotta check out this Molotov video then.
Where's a special effect where it takes me out of the music video? Is what I would be saying.
It's like the big the big thing's like, all right, boys, what we're gonna do here? We're all gonna put on shades, and it's gonna look really cool. Trust me, it's gonna be really cool, right? Just dance around, nod your head.
I wish I could join in on the fun. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I missed them
You
all.
haven't seen it yet? Oh, you haven't. You got it. Oh my god, dude, you got to watch it now.
I'm usually pretty good on these pop references and looking at anything outside of soccer, but I guess I just missed it, man. Cesar, can you tell us why is it important with El Tri this week? What comes out? What should everybody be looking forward to?
Well, obviously, I mean, if you're thinking about the list, that we got obviously this Sunday, it'll be the first true training camp for El Tri is going to start, is going to initiate. So I think that you're going to start seeing some rumors. You're going to start seeing some conversation about that final list regarding El Tri. So it'll be on Sunday. It'll be interesting to see which players start trickling in to start training with El Tri in preparation for the World Cup. Because by Monday, FIFA, I think Mexico has to send in the roster, the 35-man roster for the World Cup. Obviously, that's not the final roster. Obviously, you gotta make it narrow it down to 23. But by Monday, if I remember correctly, they have to send in that 35-man list. So it'll be interesting to see what. Of course, during the next several days, you're going to hear countless rumors about what that list is going to look like. But it's going to be fascinating to see which players start making their way into the camp starting this Sunday.
Interesting. Again, on the podcast for Countdown to Russia, there'll be something said. You can't miss it. Go ahead, Tom.
Got a question. What about Mexico not being in Copa America?
Yeah.
Just quickly, it's bad. I think it's obviously not good. I mean, you want top competition, but it's just not possible next summer because obviously, you know, Mexico have obviously played the Copa de Oro and Copa America in the same summer, but this time around it's going to be exactly the same time, and so it's not just sending a B team to Copa America; it's also sending a different
coaching.
It's like the TV contracts and stuff like that. Obviously, it's just a big mess. So that's why basically CONCACAF aren't happy with Mexico being part of it. And to be honest, I don't think the Mexican Federation. I think they realize it's just one of those situations where the calendar completely clashes. But
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully moving forward, Mexico will be invited again because, I mean, it's such a good tournament.
And there was talk of the U.S. going as well, and they're obviously missing out too. So yeah, hopefully that calendar gets sorted out and something is done because really no one wants this Gold Cup to continue as is. I don't think.
You don't like the Gold Cup, Jason?
Sorry to disappoint.
Well, I think everybody was a little bit. We haven't seen a good Mexico team play in Copa America since 2007. I mean, they've been sending B teams, they've been sending sub-23 teams. To go there and play with players that haven't played well, and then different coaching. It just wasn't working. And when I saw that, I'm like, good, finally, we're not going to go out there and just kind of be a mess and not be competitive. And it's not. Give another team the opportunity to do that, and the U.S. was going to do the same thing. So,
well, I don't know about you guys. I'm looking forward to Mexico versus Martinique in the University of Phoenix Stadium in 2019. So
120,000 people.
73,000 is the max. 73,000, and it's Guadalupe, okay?
$100 tickets minimum.
Guadalupe 2019. All right. Other than that, on the production, I mean, thank you so much for everybody on the chat. Lots and lots of conversations. If you're not part of it, definitely get in, saying hi to everybody, especially Frank Cari Torres, who's been giving us lots of information on there. So saying hi to Miss Amy Amale Lopez, who is tweeting away.
Tom, what are you laughing about, man?
What are you laughing about?
Someone's saying we should do a music video for the World Cup.
Yeah. We should.
Do you have sunglasses? It can be done.
So these guys all put on sunglasses? I'm gonna go look it up right now.
Supposed to be playing. He's not even playing. He's like air. I don't know, man. It's bad. But really quickly, before we wrap up, shout out to the Porto guys who got the league title. So that's Herrera, and Reyes. They got the league title, and of course, shout out to Herrera. I think from those three guys, I think Herrera was the most crucial player there. Now he's shirtless
everywhere.
I got a league title. How to get the World Cup.
That guy doesn't put on a shirt anymore. He's like Matthew McConaughey. Everywhere I've seen the guy has been shirtless the last week.
Did you see his break dancing though? Oof, that wasn't pretty.
Somebody else is bad. Raul Jimenez doesn't get. I think Benfica and Porto have taken the league in last 15 years. So no title for Raul Jimenez. All right. Going way over, guys. Tom's got to go. He's got to go to his band practice. He told us. Yeah, definitely. All right, Dancing with the Stars is about to start, so I got to go too. Just kidding. That's for Amy because she watches it. Have a wonderful week. We'll have, I'm sure, a ton to talk about next Monday. Hopefully, we already know the list. Hopefully, we can debate it. Lots of stuff going on. If again, be part of our Patreon, help us out. We got lots and lots of stuff coming, especially during the World Cup. You're not going to want to miss it. Shout out to Adriana, who's taking the day off, and shout out to our friend Naive Moran, who's out there lost. Just kidding. He's traveling the world and he's still listening to us. Please continue to follow him. He's great stuff when I see his stuff. Mr. Naive Moran, always a friend of the show. Please subscribe if you haven't so already. On Facebook, or Mexican Soccer Show, also Mexican Soccer Show on Twitter. Hasta la próxima, and let's see what happens with Pizarro.
Ooh.